Hi again. Come walk with me. Does Gen X have a higher pain tolerance? So we've all heard about the stories about the various activities and experiences Gen X has engaged in. And yes, we did not wear helmets or knee pads or shoulder pads when we rode a bicycle or went on our skateboards. We did not wear seatbelts. We piled ourselves into the back of I can't remember what that kind of car is. Kind of, like this, a station wagon. And yes, we played on the playground on basically these death machines that spun us around and spit us out. We did all that. So does that mean we have higher pain tolerance? I don't know of any scientific studies that have been done that definitively say, but I would like to relay 6 experiences that I have had that induced a lot of pain, well, various degrees of pain. And you can tell me if I have a higher pain tolerance. So I'm going to list these experiences in order from least amount of pain induced to most. And because when a person sustains an injury, they don't feel it right away, so I'm going to include what I initially felt when I sustained injury, as well as the amount of pain I felt afterwards and in the coming days. Number 1, I was 4 or 5 years old, and I kneeled down on the floor and kneeled right on a thumbtack. It went into my knee. It didn't just go into my knee, it went into the bone in my knee. And I didn't feel anything. And my mom was right there. And she was freaking out. And I was looking at me, and she was reaching to pull it out, and I'm like, don't touch it, don't touch it. And the thing was, in that moment, I was more afraid of the amount of pain I would feel from her removing it than myself. So, imagine a thumbtack in a piece of wood. Because when I did remove that thumbtack by myself, and there was a degree of resistance. It was like pulling out a thumbtack, not out of a cork board, not out of drywall, but out of a piece of wood. That's how much force I had used to pull that darn thing out. It only took a moment, but I didn't feel any pain. And I didn't feel any pain afterwards. So I don't know why I'm even listening it. I guess it's because it's one of those experiences where I would think it would cause pain. It must have caused pain. Anyways, I said that's number 1, but since we're going from least amount of pain to most amount of pain, that's actually going to be number 6. Kneeling on a thumbtack. Number 5. So, this happened in my mid-20s somewhere. I didn't have a fear of heights. I didn't have a fear of climbing trees. I didn't have a fear of using power equipment. And all those forces came together to cause the experience of me falling out of a tree with a running chainsaw in my hand. Yes, you heard that right. I fell out of what was like a 30 to 40 foot tree with holding onto a running chainsaw. So the story behind that was my parents had this tall tree in their front yard. I don't know what kind of tree it was. I'm not an arborist, if that's even what the term is. But it was dead, and they wanted it gone, and they don't want to spend the money. And I just had a bug on my butt one day to just take this tree down myself. So it started with, I don't know how it started really. I think I was using like a handsaw for smaller branches, and I was using the type of saw that's on a long pole for other branches, but I eventually got to branches that were thick enough that you had to use a chainsaw. And that's exactly what I did. I was up in this darn tree. I was cutting down this thick limb with the chainsaw. Now, I don't know how many of you realize it, but when you cut a limb from a tree, as long as it's slightly alive, it doesn't just break off and fall. As long as there's like a few fibers holding on, it'll break off like this. And it'll just hang there. And that is an advantage if you're cutting down a tree, because then you can kind of control where it falls. You just have like a rope or something, or you hang on to the end of the part that's hanging down. And then you just cut the remaining fibers, and then you can control where it falls. So I was cutting off this particular limb, and I was standing on another limb, and just the way that this limb fell, it like slid, it broke off completely, totally unexpected, and it like slid along the limb that I was standing on towards where the limb grows from the trunk, and it like totally swept my feet out from under me. Nice. And I'm still holding on to the chainsaw that's running. Well, I fall. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I'm like falling. And as I'm falling, three things simultaneously happen. At some point I let go of the chainsaw, and it just landed on the ground. Secondly, my arm, so there was this, as I'm falling, there's like these two branches that are like this, and my arm somehow got wedged behind me between those two branches. And at the same time, I was falling like this, and I fell and landed perfectly on a branch below me like this. So my arm's like this, and I'm just landed like this. And I'm kind of freaking out. And my arm hurt, but not that much. I just went, burp, 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 and I pulled it out. Hello. I pulled my arm out. I climbed down the tree. I took a break. I took a breather. I reassessed the situation. And then I picked up that chainsaw and climbed that tree again and resumed with a healthier respect and fear for gravity. Yes. So that was that experience, and that actually ranks only as number 5. The only pain that I had was from like my arm, my shoulder, where it was wedged. That could have ended up much worse. But yeah, that was the number 5.